speak. We are in 27 countries with 50 plus members. Through global connections grounded in authenticity, we foster and we embody integrity, empathy, and transparency, leading to an environment of trust and open communication. This broadens our capacity to lead authentically, even in times of change or when facing difficult situations, resulting in meaningful growth inside and outside Toastmasters in our personal and professional lives. Today, you are invited to listen to prepared speeches and constructive feedback. There's also an opportunity for our guests towards the end of the meeting to participate in a cozy conversation. Our guests will be invited to fill a form that will be posted on the chat. To get us going, we'll start with a toast. A toast by our fellow Toastmaster, Dan Odero. Dan, as a life coach and heavily invested in the service industry, says about the theme, one way to always show authenticity is in providing exceptional services to all whom he meets, with a touch of royalty. Dan Odero, the toast, Dan Odero.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day, Nzinga. Today we talk about authentic leadership. And this is one area that we find a lot of lack in the leaders we have. World leaders, are they authentic? Business leaders, are they authentic? The question then begs, what is an authentic leader? Who is an authentic leader? And the quote says, authentic leadership is a type of management or style which people act in a real, genuine, sincere way that is true to who they are as individuals. Proponents of authentic leadership says this type of leader is best positioned to inspire trust, loyalty, and strong performance from the employees. Then you may ask also, what are the qualities? What are the qualities of authentic leadership? The qualities are integrity. But integrity is a word that is often thrown around in the discussion of leadership, but is not often defined. Empathy also plays a big role in leading authentically. And then we have transparency. The third trait of authentic leadership involves open communication, trust, and trust building. When you have all this together, then authentic leadership leads to success. Some examples, authentic leaders set a positive example through integrity, vulnerability, empathy, resilience, adaptability, and promote building trust among employees. And then authentic leaders also use their understanding of their weaknesses to decide how to delegate tasks that someone else can do better. So an authentic leader also shows that he is not he has his weaknesses and he's not afraid to show the weaknesses. When we have all this together, the characteristics of an authentic leader is that they are true to themselves, as we find members of leadership speak are, they are self-aware, and they are proactive. When this comes together, authenticity, you'll find us, like in the case of Leadership Speak, a top club, number 5 in the world, that leads from the front. We then go on and then to close off, the writer Jeff Davis says, authentic leaders don't wear a mask. They are vulnerable and reveal their true selves to the world. They demonstrate by example and are true to their world. This is what we want, and this is why we become members of Leadership Speak and attract others. So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests, please start your cameras, unmute your mics, and join me in raising a toast to the authentic leadership. To authentic leadership.
Authentic
To
leadership.
authentic leadership.
To authentic leadership.
leadership.
Thank you, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the
Authentic
Day,
leadership.
Zinga.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for the inspirational toast. Moving on, we will have a timer to help us keeping track of time. Our timer today is Atul Shankar. Atul, please let us know what you will be doing today.
Good day, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I am Atul Shankar, your timer for today, and I shall time you according to the time as per the agenda. And at the end of each session, I shall post the times into the chat box. Thank you. Hands to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Atul. We also have a grammarian. Our grammarian is Nigel Few. Nigel, please let us know what you will be doing.
Good day, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to all their language usage. I will take note of any improper language as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. As grammarian, it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day. For today's meeting, the word is quandary, which means a state of uncertainty over what to do in a difficult situation, or a difficult situation, or a practical dilemma. Some examples of the use of this word. Kate was in a quandary over what she should do, or Gary was facing a quandary over how to repair his car. Each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day. I will give a grammarian's report when called upon during the meeting and also report on the use of the word of the day. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Nigel. Try to use the word of the day, quandary, as much as possible. We move on into the first speech of this meeting. A speech will be delivered by Buhari Zayed. Buhari has done thorough research about the theme and will deliver an educational speech. Over the years, Buhari has had more than 1 decade experience in education, consulting, and the banking sector. He is also an avid learner and reader of nonfiction books. Buhari is an optimist and an advocate of privacy. His best quote is, "No risk, no reward." Today, his speech is "Walk the Talk." Buhari Zayed, walk the talk, Buhari Zayed.
Thank you most kindly, the Toastmaster of the Day, for this meeting, for the warm introduction. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and our esteemed guests. Authentic leadership is the theme for today's meeting. Let me confirm if you can see my screen, please.
Yes, you can see it.
All right. Thank you so much. Walk the talk is a normal adage that we all hear at least once in our lifetime. And if you're yet to get that statement, enter in your eardrum, then today is the day. Authentic leadership. What do we mean by authentic leadership? Authentic leadership is about being genuine, self-aware, and true to your core values. Just like the famous philosopher said, Aristotle, the first task you have as a person, know thyself. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge, said Simon Sinek, a fantastic author that talks about leadership. Now, for me personally, when I look about authentic leadership, I see it as something that starts from you, inwards. In other words, I look inwards into myself. Do I know my strengths? Do I know my weakness? What are the threats for me as a leader? And of course, what is the gold mine out there as an opportunity for me to display authentic leadership? Now, think about it. Think of a leader you admire. What makes them up? That takes us to another entirely new dimension of what the qualities of an authentic leader should be. Of course, whether we like it or not, we have to meet a stage in our life where we become leaders. Do you want to be a leader who would leave a legacy? Do you want to be a leader who would touch lives? Do you want to be a leader that will be remembered the tremendous efforts done in order to grow people, grow organization, and positive impact in the world? I ask again, think of a leader you admire and what makes them tick. The first threat of a leader who is authentic is transparency. Personally, transparency for me is carrying everybody along without any asymmetry, information, or decision making. Let it be like a glass cup that you see through, a vision or a mission. These are the things that will on track as transparency is. Self-awareness. Have you pondered or sit down to think about who you are, what drives you, what motivates you, what is your passion? Personally, I love impacting the lives of people, organizations I work in, of course, positively. The only way I do that is when I know my strengths. I can only give what I have. If I am an authentic leader on my own, then that means giver of authenticity in my leadership that will drive efficiency, effectiveness, achievement of goals, and of course, in collaboration for that goal that you earn. Because we live in different endeavors of life. But trust me, authentic leadership is cutting across. It goes anywhere you go. The next trait is integrity. Do you have integrity? What do I do if I am not being watched? Do I work under minimum supervision, even at the subordinate level before I reach the leadership? Empathy is another basic thing that drives an authentic leader. And finally, balanced decision making. Let's take them. Self-awareness. Have you ever sat down to ponder on what it is that you have passion into? What drives you? Are you a self-directed leader with authenticity? Have you once looked at yourself in the mirror? Of course. Personally, I do that often. I look into the mirror and ask myself, based on SWOT analysis. Self-awareness is the foundation where you know your strengths, your weaknesses, and your triggers. Leaders must understand themselves to lead others. Now, that takes me back to what I said initially, that you can't give what you don't have. You are not an authentic leader where you have integrity, carry people along. Of course, that would hinder your journey as an authentic leader. I remember when I was in the education sector, one of the key strengths that I have is coming to work early. 30 minutes before time, I'm seated on my table. So I know that as an authentic leader, I need to walk my talk. When I look at my subordinates, tell them, come to work early. And of course, on the other side, you have to look at your weaknesses. What is it that you want to improve? We look at the weaknesses based on how we can improve them, not because of how they draw us down. What do you think? Transparency and open communication. Authentic leaders don't hide behind masks. Share their thoughts, challenges, and openly. It's not a segmented decision making. It is not a segmented policy that you have your favorites in your organization, that you share your thoughts, you share your decisions, and you share your challenges with. Rather, you share the challenges with an open mind and, of course, with direct communication that would inspire, that will motivate, ignite curiosity among your subordinates or wherever you find yourself. When I was the vice president education in my local club, I use this often. Open communication and transparency. I show them that I know what it is to have tight schedule to also come and present a speech. But even with that, challenges makes us stronger. I walk the talk by presenting, and I ask them to follow suit. It works. Open communication fastens trust, fosters trust between you and the individuals you work with. So the open communication I have, I don't confront a Toastmaster in my local club, the public, about presenting a speech or how he has spent a lot of time without presenting speeches. Rather, I go to him personally and speak to him. What are your challenges? What do you think I can assist you with? Of course, we build trust. When you build trust, people will move mountains for you. Integrity and ethical leadership. Remember, we've talked about transparency, we've talked about self-awareness, and the next is integrity. And of course, ethical leadership. Authentic leadership means leading with integrity. Every decision reflects your value. Do I preach honesty to people I lead and I become dishonest? Do I preach punctuality, but I come to meetings late? Do I preach perseverance, and when a huge challenge drops, I drop the ball? No. Rather, my values being seen and heard with all the sensory organs, because I have integrity as an authentic leader. One of the things that made me successful as a club president in my local club, where I met the Distinguished Club Programs, DCP goals, in less than 6 months. Your actions should align with your words and beliefs. Your beliefs and your actions proves your integrity in whatever endeavor you find yourself. You can lie to anybody, but you can't lie to yourself. Those values, those words you tell. Are you the one that has the mantra of do what I say, but don't do what I do? Then integrity has not been checked. You check that through self-awareness. Empathy and compassion. This has to do a lot with emotional intelligence. With your emotional intelligence, you have to show empathy. Yourself first, then to people you need. Now, empathy allows leaders to connect deeply with their teams and understand their needs. Empathy, it is showing emotions and feelings towards your subordinates, or even if you're at the mid or subordinate level, showing concern genuinely about how your team members are unable to pass through storms and challenges. Empathy strengthens relationships and motivates people. Now, the power of empathy and compassion is that it makes people vulnerable to you as a leader. And trust me, vulnerability of the people you lead is one of the greatest variables you can use to drive people into achieving goals, into achieving vision, into going for mission. When I was in the educational sector, I had a teacher, a staff that fell sick. And I visited that teacher to see how the person is doing. We had a conversation, a deep conversation, and I showed empathy and compassion. Of course, I'm not a medical doctor. All I could do was to show emotional support by just going visit that staff, who's my empathy and towards that person. And immediately that staff recuperated and came back to work. The courage, the zeal, the commitment of that particular staff increased. And I could see the productivity going from medium high, because at that moment, they feel like, oh, he wants to put himself in my shoes. He has been there for me, even outside the working environment. I gained that trust, had that relationship. I motivated them to be better people. And of course, communication takes place within your organization. There the staff was narrating about how happy he was by seeing me on him. That also motivated his colleagues that indeed the authentic leadership by using empathy and compassion, genuinely, of course, being the word, genuine empathy and compassion would build bigger and stronger relationships. It also strengthens the culture in your organization. Now, balanced decision making. Well, as leaders, this is one of the most challenging. Nothing is impossible, of course, but it is one of the most challenging traits or qualities that an authentic leader should possess. Leaders must become balanced in their emotions, logic, and the needs of others when making decisions. Are you a leader who tells people what they want to hear rather than what they need to hear? Are you a leader who makes decisions based on, oh, they would say, I'm a very tough or bad leader? Or are you a leader who makes decisions not minding the emotions of your subordinates, how they feel? I was consulted to give some business advice to some school directors. And one of the key problems and challenges they had then was about late coming. Their staff come to work late. And I said, what have you done to mitigate such problem? Punctuality anywhere in the world just be different from the pronunciation or the word in another language. But punctuality is being there when you need to be there and taking responsibility of being there. No excuses. The response I got from the management of that organization was that they pleaded and they spoke to them heart to heart, or what we say, open communication. And I said, have you tried to explore any other option? And there it goes. They don't want to take an extreme decision that will make them look bad. But the decision they're taking, their staff see it as something not good enough to push them into breaking that late coming. And I said to them, why are they here? You should ask yourself two questions. Does the organization needs a person that will not be punctual? Or does the person need the organization? Of course, that question raised a lot of thinking and brainstorming from the management of that organization. And they kept repeating, do they need the organization or does the organization need them? Of course, they pounded on it and I said, the decision we need to make here should be balanced. This decision currently is unbalanced because the school is at the receiving end negatively. What we need to do is to put a penalty that when his staff is late, certain amount in his salary should be deducted. And of course, when you think about it, logic tell you is a good decision because that will make the teachers or staff more productive and more punctual. Because when they are punctual, they would serve the organization better, will lead to the achievement of the goals. But on the other hand, if you want to use emotion, who wants his salary to be cut? Certainly no one. If there is a way they can persuade the government to solve tax deduction, of course, they will go for it. because that means more money in their pockets as disposable income. And after we dove on that and other recommendations, that policy was implemented. Gradually, in 2 weeks, we no longer see staff that come late to work. A very tough decision to make in terms of balancing with emotions and logic. They would be unhappy because their salary will be deducted, but the organization will benefit because the staff will be punctual. At the end of the result, the best decisions consider both heart and the mind. As a leader, you start from yourself. Know thyself. Self-awareness is a key theme that you have, of course, in an authentic leader. You can make some decisions with your heart, but make sure that emotions doesn't cloud your judgment, or you'll be in the quandary of trying to figure out what is best for your organization. If you allow some things to continue, it will drag your organization down. Those people will go elsewhere for employment. But when you steadfast, when you become steadfast, that would be a leader. Authentic leadership in action. By the show of hands, if you are seeing the picture of these people for the first time, Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, and Abraham Lincoln, by show of hands. By show of hands? All right, I would take that. Oh, I'm seeing the Toastmaster of the day raising her hands. You see Nelson Mandela for the first time? Or Mahatma Gandhi from India? Of course, Nelson Mandela is from South Africa, and Abraham Lincoln is from the US. These people are beacon of authentic leadership. Authentic leadership took Nelson Mandela to bring freedom to South Africans. Because he was an authentic leader, he wasn't bothered about how many times he spoke as the president of the country. He did one term, left. Of course, there was a lot of hurdles that he passed through in prison. Just grab a copy of his autobiography and you delve more into how authentic Nelson was. Mahatma Gandhi in India was a freedom fighter. And when you go, you see him having his picture on the correspondence. Why authentic leadership? In today's world, people need leaders they can trust. Of course, be the leader you wish you had. Start by knowing yourself, living your values, and leading with empathy. I leave you with this thought-provoking question. Will you be the leader who stands out, not for your title, but for your much? Back to you, the Toastmaster.
Thank you, Buhari. Thank you for sharing several examples, particularly as a leader who wants to build a legacy, how empathy helped increase productivity. Walk the talk. Thank you, Buhari. Moving into our next speaker, Nicole Miller Douglas. Hello, Nicole. Nicole's speech will be evaluated by Karine Baptiste. Karine, would you share with us the objectives of Nicole's speech for today, please?
Yes, Madam Toastmaster of the Day, dear members and fellow Toastmaster and guests, I'm delighted to evaluate Nicole Miller Douglas. Her pathway is dedicated to motivational strategies. She will present an icebreaker. Her objective is to deliver a speech on any topic as an introduction to the club using any style that appeals. All the best, Nicole. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Nicole, are you ready? Nicole Miller Douglas, the motivational mom, Nicole Miller Douglas.
A people without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots, says Marcus Mosiah Garvey, a journalist, entrepreneur, and one of Jamaica's national hero. I totally agree with that quote. As I deliver this speech on the motivational mom, guess what? I'm not there yet. I'm not the motivational mom. This title is a reflection of where I want to be. It's important that as an authentic leader in the role of motherhood, to look at the past, the present, and the future. Sometimes I find myself in a quandary. I don't know what I'm doing. I really need some help. And I realize I can't give what I don't have, as my fellow Toastmaster said in his speech earlier. When I started Toastmasters, I really started it to help me with my career development. But beyond career development, I realized that Toastmasters could help me to become a motivational mom. So earlier when I said the motivational mom, I think right now, if I should give myself a test, I would say I'm at a 4 out of 10. But where do I want to go? I want to get to at least a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, of course. Who is grading me? My children, my spouse, and those who are around me. One thing from Toastmasters that I've adopted in motherhood is to get frequent feedback. Oftentimes when we go somewhere, I would ask the children, on a scale out of 1 to 10, what grade would you give this experience and why? And sometimes they would say, okay, I give this experience a 6 out of 10. And I'd say, why? Well, the food was good. The place was looking nice, but I didn't like how the staff interacted with us. The person who served us dinner, she wasn't pleasant. And they're able to be specific in giving feedback. They just don't say it was good or it was bad and that's it. So that's one way I've been motivating the children to be able to speak, because just like me, as a child growing up, I was very reserved. You could never catch me in a situation like this, speaking to a crowd of persons, in this instance, 42 persons online, most of whom I don't even know. I would be so nervous. But I want to help them to become good public speakers starting from now. How can I motivate them to do that? Just by introducing some small things, such as getting their feedback on places that we go and ask them, why do you give that kind of feedback? So far, so good. But here's when I find myself in a quandary. When they find themselves in a situation at school and they want to try and defend themselves, but I have to encourage them. You should remember that teacher is in charge of the class, and how teacher decides to monitor and control the class, but no, you just have to submit to that. And the way that you need to vent your feelings, your emotions, so that your emotions don't cloud good judgment, is that you wait until after school, you have a conversation with mom and dad, and we can give our own perspective on the matter and then proceed on the way forward. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, because as children, they will feel that height of emotion that seems so hard to control. This is the area that I really want to be able to help my children in, being able to control their emotions to a level that it doesn't cloud out good judgment. And that's why I give myself a 5 out of 10 right now, because I want to help the children to be more balanced where emotions are concerned. Yes, they're growing. How can we train children who are in teen years, especially, to control those emotions in a way whereby they will become good and effective, authentic leaders earlier in life rather than later on in life? And so, as Marcus Garvey said, a people without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. So oftentimes, I have to spend that time to tell them about my past as a teenager so that they can understand that they too will get it right soon. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Nicole. As mothers well know, and fathers facing dilemmas and remaining authentic, it's not always easy. Thank you for sharing your journey to become a motivational mom. Our next speaker is Alfine Abra. Hello, Alfine.
Hello, Zinga.
Alfine will deliver a speech evaluated by Bindu. Hi, Bindu. Please
Thank
share
you,
with
ma'am.
us, Bindu, the objectives of Alfine's speech.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Zinga. My speaker, Toastmaster Alfine Abra, is going to speak on the pathway leadership development. And the purpose of this project is to practice applying the feedback that he received in the initial speech. The initial evaluator identified and gave some feedbacks that is about the content and about making the conclusion more impactful. And also to show the video whenever he has ample time and little content. With this in mind, he is going to deliver his second speech. All the best, Alfine. Thank you, and over to you, Zinga.
Thank you, Bindu. Alfine Abra, charismatic leadership. Charismatic leadership, Alfine Abra.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. When hearing the word charismatic leadership, by tapping in the chat box, who comes to your mind? Or what makes someone a charismatic leader? Steve Jobs. Thank you, Victoria. For me, as an athlete who really loves sports, when it comes to charismatic leaders, what's come to my mind is Michael Jordan. Who doesn't know Michael Jordan? He already transformed basketball, which is only the the sport only done in America to be done all around the world. And not only as sport, but also a lifestyle. A pants, a shoes, a jersey, accessories, and everything. And he won 6 championships in 8 years. One of his favorite quotes for me is, when you stop whining, you will start winning. Still from basketball, another charismatic leader, Stephen Curry. When he enters the NBA in 2009, nobody considered to shoot 3-point shot because the accuracy is only below than 30%. When he comes, he leans most to 3-point shot, and the accuracy is more than 50%. And he reached 4 championships in 7 years. And since that, most of NBA players now has 3-point shots on their arsenal. Talking about charismatic leaders, those two phenomenal athletes have one thing in common. They are the captain of their team. Besides that, they are also motivating their team, giving advice, and lead the team. And they're inspiring me because I'm watching those guys when I'm growing. When I joined Toastmasters in 2021 as Committee of Vice President of Education, they say Toastmasters is where leaders are made. In the committee, they give me assignment to find role takers of the meeting, prepare the agenda. And I was thinking, what is the correlation of founding role takers for meeting and leadership? I didn't know. Then I just do it. Moving on to the next year, I become the Vice President of Education. And we achieved President Distinguished Club only in November. But the missed opportunity is, it feels like I'm doing all the things alone. I don't delegate. I don't ask people for help. I manage everything on the club. And seems like we are losing some of old members. Only on the time when I chartered new club on last year. The name is ITSAP Toastmasters Club or Corporate Club. The meeting is on office hour. It is not possible for me to attend the meeting to monitor everything. Then I have to delegate. I have to trust. And delegate is not an easy thing because I have to be very specific who doing what, when, and how to do so. And the most important thing is to trust my team and communicate with them, asking and following up with their tasks. And now ITSAP Toastmasters is already established with 30 members. And we are not only doing it alone, we are doing it together with helps from so many people. This is the result of not only influencing, but also the capability of managing a meeting. So, fellow Toastmasters, being a charismatic leader means that you can influence people. You have to influence people because of your charisma. And charisma, where does it come from? It comes from your knowledge, your capability. And the most important thing is communication. When I talk about communication, it is beyond word. Even a silence is a form of communication. Like Carlos Tevez, an Argentine player, plays in English club. He is the captain of the club, but cannot speak English at all. But he speaks with what he did, his discipline. He's obeying the coach, and he become charismatic, and all the team following him, and they are becoming a successful team right now. Fellow Toastmasters, we need a leader because there are so many things we can do together rather than alone. So with this Toastmasters, with Leadership Speak Club, let's enrich our knowledge so we can influence people with a right knowledge. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you. Thank you, Alfin. Indeed, to become an authentic leader, it takes more than self-awareness and other traits. It takes discipline. It takes practice. Thank you for sharing this example. Next, Rose Odundu will deliver a speech. Hello, Rose.
Hello, Nzinga.
Rose's speech will be evaluated by Yusali Joseph. Yusali, I invite you to please share the objectives of Rose's speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Greeting, colleague Toastmasters and guests. Toastmaster Rose Odundu is working on the path presentation mastery, and she will present an icebreaker. The purpose of this project is for her to introduce herself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. And she will have 4 to 6 minutes to present the speech. All the best to you, Rose. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Yusali. Rose Odundu. Rose, a woman worth knowing. Rose, a woman worth knowing. Rose Odundu.
Indeed, a woman worth knowing. I am so excited to be here to share a little bit of my journey with you. I know you're very curious to find out who is this lady who is worth knowing. I am reminded of the words of Eleanor Roosevelt, who said the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And I began believing in the beauty of my dreams as a young child, born in Kenya, but grew up in the United States of America. In the early years of my life, specifically at 4 years of age, I would run away to the library, and I was taking a photo reading a book upside down. I valued education and knowledge, and I was curious. I used to ask so many questions, and this is what shaped my future. Growing up beyond that, we did come back to Kenya, and upon arrival, I landed in an international school. All the way through to high school, I was a sports person. I would play games. I would run 100 meters, 200 meters. I would do long jump, netball, name it, hockey. I played for the school, bagging quite a number of awards for the school and personally. And in that, I learned teamwork, and it grew me as a person. I learned to live with people. We had so many people from different parts of the world, and it was really good growing up with them. I was a very, very, very lively child. And further on into my growth, I went to university. And in the university, it was a little more challenging. I found adults there, and adults are not the same as children. They are not as authentic. And I was in a little bit of a quandary, wondering, how do I relate with these people? They're all so different and they're so grown up with many different ideas. I found my bearing. And soon enough, I fitted in and I started. And as I proceeded, I found myself really serving as a servant leadership. I found myself giving, mentoring, helping people, coaching and growing. And as I moved on to the professional space, I found myself in an oil firm. I grew to be a manager and I coached many, I mentored many, and I brought a lot of change. There was once a challenge where there was a lot of theft going on, and I was able to introduce a system into the organization, and that stopped. And in that process, as I mentored the youth, they grew up to be directors and leaders, and I was really grateful for that. I used to tell them, act the position you want to be. How many of you would want to rise from the position you are at right now? Let me challenge you, act the position you want to be. What I work with is a vein, what I call vein, V-A-N-E. You need to know your values, your attitudes, your needs, and your expectations. My values summarized in 3. 1 is to be authentic. 2 is to have integrity. And 3 is to serve. Throughout my professional life, I've had the privilege to speak in organizations, in schools, and continue with that leadership role. I'm a certified public accountant by profession, and I found myself now in the taxation space, an expert in taxation, continuing with training. A woman worth knowing. I came across a police officer who looked at the stickers on my vehicle, and he could see various stickers of clubs, of organizations. He could see stickers of places I've been invited where the president is making his speech. And he said, you are truly a woman worth knowing. Another highlight in my life is when I was called upon to speak on national television on women and empowerment of youth as well, and persons with disability. This was after the visit to Kenya of the former United States President, Barack Obama, whom I had the occasion to meet, to greet, and to converse with. What an honor, what an honor. As I moved on, I would say that I learned a few things along the way, and I want to circle back to where I began. Eleanor Roosevelt, who says the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. I have lived that dream of wanting to impact other people and to lift them out from where they are. And I have done that. And I have also done it in the space as a director of a company, tour run farm. The tour farm is called Heart of Africa Safaris. It is also a ministry where we uplift people, especially those who are burdened, the youth who are into drugs, the youth who feel lost, they're in a quandary about what to do with their lives, policemen who are so downtrodden, and people who have lost their value. And what do? We take them on trips. We give them time to just unwind. We speak to them. And in that, we find ourselves serving. So as I close, I would like to ask that we all believe in the beauty of our dreams. As we're reminded by Eleanor Roosevelt, we need to look at ourselves and decide what we want to make out of our lives. One thing that we need to do as a first step is to step out of our comfort zones, embrace those challenges and opportunities for growth. Secondly, repackage yourself, continually evolve, grow, read. And thirdly, rise up to make a meaningful impact in the lives of others using the God-given talents that you have been given. Let us positively influence the world. Let us embrace the words of Helen Keller, who says life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. Let's live our dreams. Let's be bold. Let's be purposeful. And let's be filled with impact. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my journey with you. And I look forward to learning a lot more about each one of you and growing together in this Toastmasters journey. Thank you very much. And back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Rose. Definitely worth knowing, Rose. And thank you for sharing your growth underpinned by your values of authenticity, integrity, and service. Thank you so much. At this time, before we move into the evaluation portion of the meeting, I would like to invite our guests to fill in the guest book that will be posted in a chat.
Nzinga, I'm the next speaker on the agenda.
Oh, sorry, Bram. I'm so used to have you as a trainer that I was already pushing you into the evaluation portion. Rewinding. Please, our guests, you're still invited to fill in the form, post it in a chat before we move into the next speaker, Bram Mimo. I know you're there, Bram. Your speech will be evaluated by Luciano João. Luciano.
Okay. Madam Toastmaster.
Hello, Luciano. Please
Madam
share with
Toastmaster.
us. Please share with us, Luciano, Bram's speech objectives.
Thank you very much. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster and dear guests, great pleasure that I stand here today to introduce Bram Mamone's speech. So his speech is going to be delivered from the Persuasive Influence Pathway, project number 2, level 1, project number 3, Introduction to Vocal Variety and Body Language. So the objective of his speech is to choose any topic where he works on his vocal variety or body language and gestures, or both. So let's go and listen to Bram Mamone on his speech entitled Why. Madam Toastmaster, over to you.
Thank you, Luciano. Bram Mamone, why? Why, Bram Mamone?
Do you have a purpose? And if you have a purpose, what is your purpose? Why are you here? That is the eternal question, isn't it? It's an existential question. Why? Now, let me give you an example of why something happened in my life and what we did about it. Back in 2020, February, I was a coach of a club called My Speak Toastmasters Club. Now, there were 8 members on the book, of course, but only 2 came to the meetings. The 6 of them said, we will not renew at the end of March. Don't even call us. And then what happened in March of 2020? You all know, right? Pandemic, globally. And so one week we were in the church meeting and we were told by the administrator, here's your check for the rent. We won't bank it. Take it back. We are closed next week. Goodbye. And that was it. What did we do? With 2 members and me, we set a why for the club. And the why is right over here, ladies and gentlemen, at the top. Setting world-class trend in online meetings. Now, that means what? Anyone that joined the club, anyone that came as a guest had to be world-class in their presentation or in whatever they did. And we had about 18 to 20 guests turn up, the same ones, week after week, from the district, who were Toastmasters to help revive the club, only because of this particular statement. Why? And the quality was high. No surprise, right? Where I'm involved. And what happened? What happened is simply this, ladies and gentlemen, is from February of 2020 to June of 2021, 53 members, 125 education awards, one of the top 5 clubs globally, one of the actually top 4 clubs globally. I left that club to create an advanced club, ladies and gentlemen. And the advanced club, what was it called? You all know. Leadership Speak, where you are right now. And we had a statement, a why for it, a mandate. Why do we exist? What's our purpose? And it was a premier club. It is premier club for Toastmasters to become better. The keywords, self-directed leaders. It was my passion to make sure that people took a handle of their life and their Toastmastering and became self-directed. And that's why we are here. Because I'm the founder of the club with my co-founder, Brand, who's a little bit too busy to be a member right now, but this is what we created. And guess what? Because of why that we had from February of 2022 to June of 2024, we were the top club globally in less than 2.5 years. Actually, in June of 2023, a year before that, we were one of the top 5 clubs with 116 education awards. In June of 2024, we had, guess what? 158 education awards. The members here believed in that why, and they created a why for themselves to be able to do what they did. So having a purpose is very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. And so we have to understand that the clubs that I belong to and other clubs that I have belonged to previously, if they didn't have that own mandated why, we followed the Toastmasters mission statement as our why. And we asked our members to become better communicators and leaders based on that statement, which is why we are here in any case, right? So let's take a look at why. It's the existential question, a forever existential question that we've heard. We heard that from Buhari. Know thyself, be authentic. And there's power, there's real power in asking ourselves such a question. Why am I here? What am I doing? In English, it's called the reason for being. Who am I being? Or in Japanese, is called ikigai. And I know we have a lot of French-speaking people here, so pardon me if I mispronounce this. But raison d'être. Now, Karine, please correct me at the end of this meeting, all right? Or Buhari, or some of those people that know French, or usually. Okay, good. This question is so powerful. Who am I? What am I doing here? And why am I doing it here? Gives us a reason for being and come into existence. So here's the community. That community is Leadership Speak, or any Toastmasters, or any organization that you belong to or work for, or are volunteering, whatever it is, that's a community of people. They have a why statement. Most organizations do have a vision statement or a purpose statement, the mission and where they're headed, the direction they're going in. And along you come, and along we come, and we want to join this community right here. And if we begin to formulate our own why, there's this magic zone right here, the common ground. So if you don't have a why, your own why that is congruent with the community, you will not succeed as much, or you will not be able to take the value being provided as it ought to be. But when you have your why statement that is congruent and aligned, there's this magic zone that happens. That's the zone of magic. So the simple question then remains is, why are we here? If this is a club for self-directed leaders, for example, what is your why? And when you begin to formulate that, this community can give you tremendous value because now you're aligned with the direction it is going in. And you are now aligned to the tools and skills being offered and the training being offered in a Toastmasters club or in an organization, how you align yourself and take the organization further, because that's where the organization wants its profitability, or in our case, to be one of the top clubs globally. So here it is again, a premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. And it's very simple. The keywords are self-directed leaders. That's what we are shooting for. And so every member, every guest who's intending to join Leadership Speak will be asked. And we do in the eligibility form and in the goals form that we have. We say, this is the club's mission statement or mandate. What is your why? Why are you here? So that you begin to formulate and get ingrained in the culture of the club. of being self-directed. Now, my personal why, and I know I've gone a little bit over time. My personal why is I'm driven by leadership, which is congruent to the 2 whys that I created for those 2 other clubs, and currently, of course, including Leadership Speak. Ladies and gentlemen, when the why is big enough, and it is proven, when there were only 2 members, but the why was so big that it became one of the top 4 clubs globally within the year and a half, right? And it's always important to mesh your why with the club's why, and it meshes together to become something formidable, phenomenal. The why pulls us forward and it becomes a driving force. Ladies and gentlemen, what is your why? What is your why? Why are you here? Thank you. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Bram. As we progress through different stages of our leadership trajectory, it is indeed important to consider the issues and the challenges that motivate us to take action. It can take time to identify the mission, but as you shared, is a worthwhile pursuit. Thank you for your speech. Moving into the general evaluation portion of the meeting. Now we are moving into it. The general evaluator today is our fellow Toastmaster, Baron Ochoa. We will ask before Baron starts this section for the timer to post the timer report in the chat box. Also, I'll ask the Zoom master to post the poll for best effort speaker. Thank you, Zoom master. Please vote for best effort speaker. As you vote, Baron, are you there?
Yes, Toastmaster of the day, I am here.
Thank you, Baron. I will hand over the meeting to you now. Over to you, Baron.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. And thank you to all the speakers who have delivered scintillating speeches. It's my utmost pleasure to take on this bit of the meeting, which usually cliche, touche, and all the words that mean obvious. We say feedback is breakfast for champions and this, and that. I would prefer to frame it this way today. An unexamined life is a life worth not living, or rather not worth living. An unexamined life is a life not worth living. To attribute it to speeches and meetings, an unevaluated speech is a speech not worth giving. Neither is an unevaluated meeting. And that is the main purpose of the evaluation and general evaluation session, which we are now jumping into. Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the day. And to carry the day, we are going to start right away with the evaluator of the toast, and that is none other than Toastmaster Irene. Now, I'm going to share a little bit about what every evaluator said to the theme. Toastmaster Irene said, authentic leaders are true in all that they do, and they bring out the best of themselves with that. So they are true in all that they do, and they bring out the best, their entire self. To evaluate the toast today is Toastmaster Irene. Sadia, over to you.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator Baron. Good evening, everyone, and especially Dan Odero. Dan, I really like the fact that you spoke to the theme of the day. authentic leadership. And how did you do this? By giving us a definition, and then you gave 3 core values of an authentic leader, which are integrity, transparency, and empathy. Secondly, what I really liked about your toast is you went on to explain to us how leadership speak incorporates that authentic leadership within everything we do at this club. Really enjoyed that. There was very clear diction, and there was proper flow of your thoughts. However, you could have improved your speech or your toast by, I noticed you were reading quite a bit, Dan. And so that took away from your toast. You missed that connection with all of us. So I recognize that you probably may need to read, but just glance and quickly make contact, look at your camera. So that took away from your speech. And then when you raised the toast, all I saw was your hand. I did not see your glass or your mug. And so that is something that you would like to pay attention to in future. I know that because of the backgrounds, our hands and our glasses disappear. So you would need to pay attention to that. But overall, really, really great toast. And if you just pay attention to those 2 points, then you will do an even greater toast in future. Thank you, Dan. And back to you, General Evaluator Baron.
Right, thank you so much, Toastmaster Irene. It is now my pleasure to evaluate you, and I will say 2 things. 1, you executed the points that you wanted to share well, you structured them, you clearly listened, and you clearly observed. What do I think you could do to improve? 1 would be the Zoom presence. If you look at it, we are missing a little bit of your face. And the second would be the use of time, because if I am not wrong, you must have used about 1 minute. Sorry, yes, about 2 minutes, and then you left a bit of time on the table. So you'd want to work on that. Next, we are going to segue to Toastmaster Mohammed Azimuddin, who is going to evaluate our Toastmaster of the day. Over to you, Toastmaster Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster General Evaluator. Today, I enjoyed a very engaging session from the beginning to the end, but I was in a quandary of deciding whom shall I evaluate, Toastmaster of the day or a judge sitting in the courtroom. It is because I was carried away by the Zoom presence of the Toastmaster of the day today. She looks like sitting in a courtroom with the black coat and the white shirt, and the collar looks giving a look of a judge. So it was a wonderful Zoom presence. And now I try to evaluate some of the attributes that I noted today in the role of Toastmaster of the day. First thing is the style of communication. She was very peaceful, calm, and uttering even a word. It seems that she has worked on the words before speaking. So every word she spoken was really appropriate and to the point for this meeting. And then the style of leadership she has presented today, that she appreciated all the speakers after the speaker is spoken. And then she introduced the speaker in the correct and right way. As a Toastmaster, she set the tone of the meeting, managed the time very well, and every note that she has presented today was the welcoming to the audience. And then I saw there is an
handling of unexpected events, that she missed a speaker to introduce the speaker and invite the speaker, and she quickly repaired that gap very nicely. And that was the attributes of the good points of a Toastmaster of the day. That manage the time, properly introduce the speakers, appreciate the speakers for their work done, and then set a tone all over the meeting. And so I see that in this meeting. What I think that I should give as a point to improve is that bring some humor in your this role, so that some of the audience, they needs this type of humor to be connected with, and that I think will make your this role wonderful. Overall, I enjoyed the session, and I like that personally very well, that it is the engaging session because of the Toastmaster of the day. Thank you very much. Over to General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mohammed Nazimuddin. You leave me in a quandary with no points to give you for improvement. So I'll just point out what you did really well, and that is the tone with which you delivered your evaluation. In fact, even while you delivered points of improvement, the Toastmaster of the day was smiling through it. That is something to commend. Next, we are going to have the evaluation of our leadership speaker. That was Toastmaster Buhari, and he is going to be evaluated by Toastmaster Sandra Vaux, who said, authentic leadership matters. Without clarity and honesty, she, as the queen of the compassionate queen of straight talk, would not be providing a useful service. So she has to be authentic, provide that, and that's why it matters. Over to you, Toastmaster Sandra.
Thank you so much, Paran. Buhari, it's my honor to be evaluating you as the leadership keynote today. And that is quite a challenge always, to come up with your 20-minute keynote. You did 23. Walk the talk, persuasive influence, preparing to speak professionally with a message, a point of view, and in a style that supports the speech. The content was a quandary for me. You had it all into me wondering, how persuaded am I? How directed or explaining what does it mean for me to walk the talk? Let's start with your introduction, and I hope everybody pays attention to this. Your introduction sets you up. And I'm going to suggest that introductions need to be typed and sent in the style that you want your Toastmaster of the day to deliver it. And I would maybe do a speech on that sometime, but if there's energy, then the introduction, your Toastmaster of the day will bring that energy to it as well. And you could even work with the Toastmaster of the day to say how you want it delivered, rather than so much on the monotone. Simply put, as well on content, there was just too much content for me. When you're delivering a speech and you want to persuade people, you need to stick with maybe 3 points, which were in your first PowerPoint slide. The points were: be genuine, be self-aware, and true to your core values. I would have stayed with those 3. As you proceeded through your PowerPoint, there was just way, way, way too much. That did not give you a chance to take time for energy. This whole meeting to me is low on energy. And that's what I found, that nothing really inspired me, because today we were getting into a lot of that monotone, is what I call it, because it's just this small range of vocal variety. So ho-hum on the energy, but I know that your passion is there. So I would cut down on those PowerPoints. Put yourself in like Brahm did so that we can see you. And worry about content, do that in a handout. Don't try and teach us everything. Give us you, persuade me I can read. So a lot less text. I'm looking to be fired up when I'm finished with this. Spark me. And that would mean you'll reduce I am, I did, and then you were handing out a penalty, like that's going to inspire somebody. No, we need to lift people up. Overall, you had very professional content. It made sense, but I want you to light my fire. I'm looking forward to you in your growth as you give us a torch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you, Baran.
Thank you so much. Well delivered on the points of on the well delivered points and the points of improvement. The idea of having yourself in the presentation is very key, because if somebody hasn't set their devices well, then they will not be able to see. And that's a point that you noted that had to be said. Away from that, well-delivered evaluation as well. Now, I would like us to segue to our first speaker, and that is going to, our first speaker's evaluator, and that is going to be Toastmaster Karen Baptiste, who is evaluating Nicole Miller. When asked to explain what authentic leadership means to her, she said, authentic leadership is leading with integrity, purpose, and commitment to inspire others through genuine behavior. Over to you, Toastmaster Karen.
Thank you very much, Baron. And also thank you, Nicole, for your inspiring and personal story about emotional aspects. It is very important for you to have a reflection about emotional aspect. For you, transmission has a core values with your children. We have different questions: how to be a good speaker, how to develop their communication, how to balance emotion, how to be an authentic leadership. All these core values are important you want to transmit. Why? You explain in your speech. You have started by an important sentence, a quotation from Marvin Gaye: people without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. And all these values, you want to have a good transmission with your children. Your story was very inspiring because you were connecting with us, with our audience, in using different modulation with your voice. But you can maybe sometimes mark some pauses, especially when you give some illustration with your children in order to be digested your story. Your eye contact was very strong, and you want to persuade with us this transmission is very important, and we feel this emotion. Your gesture also have been used in using your fingers in order to share with us the different aspects when you achieve different goals, 4 out of 10 in terms of objectives. And all these aspects show you are very connected with us. I would like to give some recommendations in order to make more impactful your speech. First, pay attention for the timing. You are over time. This is an icebreaker. Second aspect, you need to give some illustrations how your children finally achieve these skills, how to be good speaker, how to balance their mission. Because finally you gave a description, some objectives, but finally during their life, how did they succeed? And the third aspect is a conclusion. Maybe you should give us a question, call to action. To conclude, this is a very good speech. with a vocal variety, gestures, hooked sentences, but pay attention the next time, the timing, and also give some personal illustration with your children. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Corinne. Well executed as far as, and I know I'm encouraging a lot, well executed as far as getting all the points that you wanted to get in a tone that it didn't feel rushed. And I'm sure the speaker has gotten where they need to improve and what they need to reinforce. Now, on to our next speaker, our next evaluator, that is Toastmaster Bindu, and these are her words. Being authentic is the key to unlock the doors of successful leadership. Bindu is going to evaluate Toastmaster Alfin. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Alfin Abra. You were an effective speaker. Though nervous, I could really get nuggets out of your speech. And what were they? First was you hooked the audience by bringing out a question, asking, what comes to your mind when you think of a charismatic leader? That way, you are asking the audience interest into what you were up to. Yeah, you were about telling charismatic leaders. And you had demonstrated that with two examples. First was Michael Jordan and the other was the football Arsenal captain. Then you had a transition towards your Toastmaster journey. Initially, when you joined, you were just a novice trying to find out what it is. Later, when you became a VP, you were in a quandary, trying to do everything by yourself and not knowing what to do. And later, when you chartered a new club, you enlighten yourself by delegating certain tasks and finding out some of the leadership qualities in you. Great content. Nevertheless, you being a great speaker, I wanted your speech to become more impactful. And how can we do that? By assuring that you give a powerful conclusion, an impactful message. Yes, you could do that. You know how? Charismatic leadership, you could have taken one person, Michael Jordan, and explained his leadership qualities. And why did you say so? Like his ruthless determination in achieving his goal, the emotional intelligence, taking the long pathway of success. All these you could have incorporated. And also, since you have your project as leadership development, how did you become a leader? And how you could become a charismatic leader in the long way. So when you bring these two aspects and can wind up with the title, connected with the title, and tell a message that this is what I am trying to become, a charismatic leader. What are you and what qualities are you in you to become a charismatic leader? Thank you. All the best, Alfin. Over to you, General Van.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bindu. Like all the evaluators, you've keenly paid attention and you've understood what to speak to from all that the speaker has delivered. Only one thing that I would like to point out is when you say, I wanted to see this, or when you give that direction of this is what I wanted to see, it would take away from the fact that it's the other speaker's story or this, that. A tone like, if you did this, this might be the result that it will deliver. Or if you just pointing out that these are the likely options you have, and these are the likely outcomes of it, that helps to get the speaker to feel like, yes, but it's my speech. But now there I think you get the gist of that. So away from that, well-delivered evaluation, and now we shall move to the evaluator of our third speaker, and that is Toastmaster Usley Joseph, who said, authenticity is the core of humanity. Each of us is unique. She will be evaluating Toastmaster Rose Odundo. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Greeting again, colleague Toastmasters and guests. Toastmaster Rose Odundo, of course, you are a woman worth knowing. And you showed during your presentation that you are an authentic leader as well. When the Toastmaster of the Day gave you the virtual lectern, you went straight to the presentation and you introduce yourself in the way that matters to you. And you introduce this wonderful woman that is worth knowing. You had a captivating title, and this title, from the title, people were asking why she said that in this title. We're looking at who you truly are. You introduce a wonderful woman who emphasize authenticity, empathy, the passion to pursue your dream. We learned a lot about you studying with your birth in Kenya, growing up in the United States, and you came back to Kenya and you talk about your relationship with the community in which you grew up, and your love for reading, your experience at university, and how you handled the quandary at this time. You presented as well your commitment to young people and your profession. You are a certified public accountant. Your appearance on national, you talk also about your appearance or your show on the national television, as well as your meeting with President Barack Obama, and you ended and you concluded by encouraging all the members here in this virtual room, to get involved in things they are passionate about and to get out of our comfort zone and to act to positively influence others. You encourage us as well to be bold, to be purposeful. Your enthusiasm was extraordinary during all the presentation. You showed that you know yourself, you believe in your abilities and values. My recommendation for you for your next presentation is to work on 3 aspects that I will mention. The first one is your Zoom presence. Because the camera was below your eyes, it was like you were looking down to the audience. Next time, you can put something under your device so that for a better alignment between your eyes and the camera. The second aspect is your pace. You were warning with the presentation. It was like something that you wanted to get rid of. You believe in yourself. You know what you were presenting. Next time, you can take some strategic pauses, especially between the 3 parts of the speech, the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. And the third thing that I wanted you to work on is when you want to use materials during a presentation, be sure that this material, like presented like this, that this material can be visible for the audience. You have presented a book and the book was not so much visible for the audience. Overall, you had a great presentation, great content, self-confident, and work on your Zoom presence and your flow the next time Toastmaster Rose in order to have a better presentation. I'm looking forward for your next presentation, and congratulations once again. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Absolutely. it goes without saying that the tone was right on. Along with the tone was the points of improvement in which you clearly highlighted what needs to improve. Along with that, and most importantly, was evaluating from the objectives of the speech. That's the first thing that sets precedence. Where I think you could improve Toastmaster Usley is when you repeat the speech back to the speaker, it shows that you're paying attention, but it also takes away from your time that you would have used delivering the evaluation. And that is why you'll find that we were a little bit over time in your evaluation. So that would be something to look at when you're evaluating. Our final speech of the evening, of the morning, of the afternoon, depending on where you're joining in from, came from Toastmaster Bram Memon, who was evaluated by a gentleman who said, authentic leadership is important as it shows the guidelines you need to internalize and practice, be a leader, right? Authentic leadership shows you the guidelines you need to internalize to be a leader. That's why it's important. And that was said by none other than Toastmaster Luciano. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Itebaran. So, Bram, your speech. So a couple of points that I will highlight here. There was no quandary about the structure of your speech, because I saw information and also inspiration message on your speech. That's very good. And I like the way you start the speech. You were effective in the way you start the speech because the title is why. So the why question can take you in many directions. But you started by giving the why, shaping that why within the club. Why did you start Leadership Speak? Where did you start from? So at the beginning, you shaped that, and the why, you put the premises on where the why was based from. So you were effective at that. And the other aspect also, when it came to engagement in the audience, so you were effective because you were able to pull in the audience in, where you knew you used the term in French and you pull in the audience and asking them, please correct me if I get this right. So as you pull the audience, you pull people's attention, not only the person that you're engaging with, but everybody becomes engaged. So you were effective at that. And when it came to your conclusion of your speech, so there was a linkage between the title of your speech, which is the why, and also the conclusion, because there are two things that you mentioned is you have to know your why. Besides knowing your why, you also need to know the why of the club. And when the two meet, that's where the sweet point is. So that's extremely important. And a couple of points that I would like you to improve on is, as you deliver the speech, the why question, there were a couple of rhetorical questions which are extremely important, and you have the audience thinking about it. And when you're delivering your speech, you take the audience with you. And then what I felt is your pace was a little bit fast, so that not everybody could follow. So as you giving those rhetorical questions, especially the whys, you need to give the audience enough time for them to stop and reflect so that they can keep up. A couple of other things that I would like to suggest is, on the Zoom presence, at the beginning, you are very small in comparison to the whole size. At the end, that improved, but my suggestion is, at the beginning, when you start, try to make it as big as possible for you to fill the room. The whole screen. And when it comes to the vocal variety, I didn't see much discrepancy in the vocal variety, much variety in the vocal variety. I would like to see more, because that's one of the subjects, one of the objectives of the speech. So there's need to be from 0 to 100 more change in that. I would like to see that more. And finally, I would like if you could have less information in your speech, then the audience could pay more attention and follow that through, because it's very important information, the why. People need to think, and the less information you have, the more that they're able to follow. Overall, where you were effective in your speech, there was no quandary in that, so well delivered. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Luciano. Sometimes it gets hard to evaluate, for example, Bram, because he's a master speaker, but also because you have the graphics. There's so much to look at and so much to pick at the same time. And what you've done is good, because you're able to pick up on this and pick up on that, as well as share really good points. What I would say about improvement is the structure of your evaluation, because I found that even when it came to close to the end, when you had to summarize, you were still giving more of the improvement points. Yes. And that means there's a bit of a thing with structure. If you can give about 2 or 3 points, and then 2 or 3, and then such that we don't have to deal with many points, and then it goes over to the summary. While at it, the next thing would be Zoom presence. If you notice with Zoom, I'm in the house, but you'll find that to match the role that I'm playing, I'm suit and tie. I would just urge a twitch on that, such that everything that you say, you know how people will look at, will take 15 seconds to decide if they want to listen or not. You would match what Bram has on. He's putting on a tux, and this is such that it's correlating. With that being said, I would like to invite the timer, and I think the timer already did it. Right, the timer's report to be put in the chat, as well as invite the grammarian to share with us their report.
You ready for me, Baron?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So the word of the day, quandary. I was very happy that several people used it. So Bram used it twice, and Nicole used it twice, and Luciano used it twice as well. But I'm not quite sure that Luciano used the word in quite the right way. Also, Mohammed used it, Baron used it once, Bindu used it, and so did Yusuli. So thank you very much for this word. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope you can use it in your speeches and your everyday vocabulary. Now for the improper grammatical use of suggestions, etc., etc. So Buhari, this is maybe slightly contentious, but you use the word subordinate quite a few times. Now, you're probably aware of the word subordinate is a word that I would never use it. I would never use this word. It implies hierarchy, and also it tends to imply a certain looking down upon people. So I would prefer in this modern day to use the word my team. Now, you use this expression as well, but when you talk about subordinates, it really does imply hierarchy and a slightly authoritarian way of seeing your leadership style, which is not compatible with empathy and understanding. Otherwise, you made one small mistake. You said I had a staff, meaning a staff member. The word staff should only be used in plural. Karine, one thing I think I would like you to be aware of is when you read a text, make sure that you slow down and articulate. When you were reading your intro as an evaluator, you read it quite quickly and it was difficult to understand what you were saying. Alfin, you had a few small mistakes. I do understand as a native speaker that learning a language is quite tricky, but just a few things. You said most players has, not most players have. Another thing, when you talk about Toastmasters, make sure you don't forget the S. Bram, you have a habit, which I'm not sure you're aware of saying right. And this word you use quite a few times. You'd say, no surprise, right? Or just adding a little right. Now it's a tick of language. I'm not sure other people have picked up on it, but please avoid it if you can. You said self-directed, and when you write it on screen, self-directed has a hyphen, so please don't miss it out. Bindu, you said the word charismatic. Well, it's pronounced with a K, like it's a hard CH, so it should be charismatic, but only a small thing. So overall, I think that your use of English is brilliant, and I really admire the fact that you can speak English so well. So those of you who it's not your first language. Buhari, I love the way you said, preach honesty to the people I lead. Now, I like the word of preaching, this way of preaching. It's really a positive thing. Nicole, when you mentioned your need to vent your feelings and frustration, I love this word vent. It's a very sort of, how we say, it's a word that comes from the soul and from the heart. So I love the way you use this. Alfin, I love your quote from Michael Jordan. When you stop whining, you will start winning. And Rose, you had lots of wonderful expressions. I'm only going to use one because otherwise there'd be a long, long list and I'd definitely run over time. I like the way you said, I landed in an international school. Now, this is just great, that I'm landing in something in a situation. Bram, I loved your expression, zone of magic. I think this is very evocative and all of us can imagine what it means. And also, when the why is so big, the facts don't matter. That's an expression to be used again. Lastly, Sandra, I'm looking to be fired up and I want you to light my fire. Now this, I mean, of course, I think we would all like to light your fire, Sandra, and I'll try and do that in the chat afterwards. But anyway, thank you very much to everybody. I loved your use of language. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Toastmaster Nigel, for the very in-depth feedback on the grammar used. You listened and you took notes and you were very serious and keen about this. Very much appreciated. At this point, I would like to invite our Zoom master to launch the poll. And while the poll is being launched, which is, yes, it should be on your screen right away. So the poll is to vote for the best effort evaluator of the day. As we launch the polls, let me introduce our trainer. At Leadership Speak, we have special sessions in which we get further training about the meeting, about how we have performed, and those are delivered by our president, Toastmaster Bram Memon. Toastmaster Bram, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. So my job simply today is to make sure that our speakers, specifically our speakers and our evaluators, are doing it as per what an advanced club ought to be in terms of the speaking or the evaluations and what that really means. So as we all have, as I've said before, every speech, every presentation, every meeting, everything that we do here today is always about the audience. Okay. And so all presentations, whether it's the Toastmaster for the day, or whether it's the speaker, whether it's an evaluator, the focus really is in the end about the audience. And all presentations should be engaging the audience, whether they're guests or Toastmasters or members of the club, especially the guests. And so how we address the guests and bring them into the fold is very, very important. I will not go too much into detail about that, of course, but as I've pointed out before, this is probably going to be my last couple. I tried that would be my last one a few weeks ago, but let's just continue with what I've been saying before. Is, you know, how the presentation is structured is an important thing, and any presentation that we create needs to start with what is the conclusion? What am I going to be telling the audience? What is their takeaway going to be, right? So the call to action is one of the most important things. And based on the call to action, what is my opening and what is my title? And based on that, how am I constructing this presentation that comes to a conclusion for the audience? And did the presentation inform, inspire, motivate, persuade, or even entertain the audience? This is at an advanced level. The reason being that any presentation that you do here, you could take that same presentation and do it outside in the real world, and you'd be heard and maybe even paid or promoted or whatever it is that you need to get done out in the real world. That is why you are here in an advanced club. Okay, so that is the training that we are going through here for you guests as well. If you join this club, you will see that your presentation and your evaluations will significantly improve. And as you've seen today, we were quite right on the mark. We are getting much, much better at what we do as an advanced club. So thank you all for being here and putting up with my little thing here. My speech today, I'll evaluate it myself, could have done a bit better at the end about the audience's takeaway and conclusion, right? And so I didn't have enough time. I took it on Thursday that I will speak here. I've done the speech before several times this past week, but for this particular audience, I didn't quite have the time to tweak it. And so I failed. As far as you audience are concerned, I didn't quite deliver in my conclusion the way it should really be. So I continue to do better. Over to you, Mr. G.
Thank you, DTM Bram. And that is a very good analysis of how we could do better, and the more further we need to take it to understand what needs to be done. Now for my report, I am going to share, and I will avoid repeating what has been said by other evaluators, and during the meeting, it will be a general highlight. To the Toastmaster of the day, we started preparing for this meeting well in advance. We had role takers. The agenda was full more than 3 or 4 days ago. And we've had preparation sessions, and this is all key, as well as the fact that everybody's trained, everything is right on point. This is all key to highlight. I will come back to the Toastmaster of the day, so I'll have a go at the grammarian. Well executed on how you shared the report and how you introduced the role, having the background. That was well done. You chose a word of the day that helps us to also build our grammar. I did not know it before, and I'm sure so did many people, because we're excited about it. Over to the timer. The timer did a wonderful job as well. There was a quick second when the timer dropped off during the leadership speaker's speech. And that is why the leadership speaker ended up being a little bit over time. I just have to highlight that, but we handled it and we knew what was happening. Thank you so much, timer. And the greeter did an important job, excellent job at the beginning. The greeter is also a sergeant at arms, so I'll highlight about that. As far as the sergeant at arms part, we did not have the latest disclaimer, so that is something to take note of, and that goes to all members. Please be aware that every once in a while there's an update, and we have to go over that if you're doing the role. Even if you've done it prior, we just need to go over and see what is there. But that was well done as well. Evaluators, my message to the evaluators is 1, objectives. The objectives of the speech are the staple for what we are looking for. Whenever you're evaluating, the first thing is where the objectives met, right? When you deliver from that perspective, you cannot go wrong, because at the end of the day, it's the pathways that we follow, and the evaluation systems also come from the pathways. The next would be the timing, because if you are an evaluator and you go over time, then you lose credibility to, for example, tell a speaker they were over time. As the evaluator, you have to remember that you are leading by example and in real time. So whatever that you are saying should be improved upon, should be clear to see in what you are delivering. Away from that, well executed. This one specifically to the Toastmaster of the Day's evaluator. Now, the general evaluator in a community club will walk the journey with the Toastmaster of the Day, observing everything. I would urge that the Toastmaster of the Day's evaluator does the same, such that you can be able to report and say, yes, I was there when the meeting was being organized 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago. I saw this process and I saw that, because the Toastmaster of the Day is delivering while fulfilling the project of managing an online meeting. So you have to give them feedback as well from that perspective. Did they manage the meeting well, rather than only what was seen during the meeting? With that being said, everything else has been said by evaluators. Just to be keen on that, make sure you get the objectives right. Otherwise, the speaker misses out and the audience misses out on certain things that they saw. Toastmaster of the Day, back to you. You carried the day, you managed the meeting really well. The few mishaps that you had during the meeting, you caught on to them, and that's something that happens when you are playing a role. So 1 to 3 months later, you'll have to play it again such that you get the mastery. Missing out on the evaluator of the leadership speaker was something that we can't let go without saying, but it's good that we had it in the background. But still, next time, that, as well as remembering the Zoom or remembering a speaker, no matter what we are set to think, we always have to go by the new agenda and follow it, almost forgetting anything else we know about last week's meeting or previously done meeting. With that being said, I think we have done an excellent job, and I would love to hand it back to you, Toastmaster of the Day, for the rest of the meeting. Over to you.
Thank you, General Evaluator Byron Ochola, for providing us the breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack of this Saturday. A lot has been said about authentic leadership, but still I would like you to hear the thought of the theme by Toastmasters Claudette Thomas. Claudette Thomas, the thought of the theme.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and fellow authentic leaders. I'm adding to my esteemed colleagues' excellent presentations on the theme authentic leadership, which involves leading from the heart, staying true to yourself, and creating an environment where we all can thrive. Authentic leadership starts with all of us. As William Shakespeare wrote in his play Hamlet, above all, to thine own self be true. What does that quote mean to you? You can reflect on it. To me, it means knowing my values, beliefs, strengths, and areas of improvement, and being true to myself. It also means being transparent, caring, respectful, and leading from that place. It's about encouraging, inspiring everyone to lead from their own truth. At Leadership Speak, we aim to be self-directed, authentic leaders who create a culture of caring, connection, collaboration, innovation, learning, and much, much more. Let us be true to ourselves and lead others to do the same. Let us lead with truth. And as our leadership speaker, Buhari, reminded us, let's walk the talk, walk the walk also, and know thyself. To all authentic leaders, above all, to thine own self be true, as Shakespeare reminded us. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you for the thoughts of the theme, Claudette. I would just add that, as mentioned here, it takes time, it takes effort, that self-awareness, understanding, defining our mission, our set of goals takes discipline, takes practice. Thank you all who also worked in the background, allowing this meeting to run smoothly. We will have now the opportunity to talk to our guests with our club president, Bram Mimon. Bram, should we talk to our guests?
Thank you.
Over to you.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. We have quite a few guests here today that we need to address. And I see that I had invited Wesleyne Walters. And if Wesleyne is here, are you near to your camera, Wesleyne? Hi, Wesleyne. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. I am well. And thanks for the invitation. And the meeting, as I mentioned in the chat, it was very impressive. And I take it everyone there online, from the manner of speech, the manner of their conduct, it seems that they are all professional people. So I guess that adds to the impressiveness. However, I learned a lot, and I know it's a big shoes to fill if I'm to take up membership within the club. But I will keep on learning, keep on sitting in to grasp more before I get to that point. But I love it. I will keep on joining to get the good insight into all of it. Thanks again for the invite.
You're welcome, Wesleyne. And like every member that joins here, it's a steep learning curve at the beginning, but you have to go at your pace, and we sort of make sure that you do. And we have a good orientation process as well. So please do join when you can as a guest, but would you like to join the club at some point in time, Wesleyne?
Yes, I have. I'm thinking of it. I am thinking of it. I saw a lot of things. I heard a lot that I would really like to grasp under my belt, and I see the environment is there for learning.
Super. We'll have a conversation later. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, bye. Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye. We have just a few more guests here. We have Satish K. Are you there? Then we have the usual Jean Small, Marlene, and Yvonne. We have had them have a comment here at our meetings before, so we will not call on them. They are our regular guests. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we have a few guests that have signed the guest book, and we will be following up with them. We've created some tools for evaluators, and Nzinga is going to be helping me roll that out to the evaluators. And if you can spotlight Nzinga here for me, which is Wizard Toastmaster of the Day. And so Nzinga and I created this tool for the evaluators and for the speakers at some point in time, which Luciano will be doing soon as well. So Nzinga, we will be rolling this out this week. We have everything in place. What do you think?
I think it would be very useful for both speakers and evaluators, because it will give us the opportunity to use a form as a guide before we attend the meeting, as in preparation for the speech or for the evaluation. Help us review the main points to be focusing on during the evaluation, and also while preparing the speech, particularly the content and the audience. This is where I believe we can all develop and grow in our competencies as speakers and as gifts, feedback, evaluation providers.
Excellent. Yes, it is really a tool, and it's the extra training if you want to get better, so you can use it. It is based on, of course, that evaluation workshop, evaluations critical thinking workshop that we did a few weeks ago. So it's based exactly on that workshop. We will also be doing a workshop coming up soon for speakers. You see, just the flip side of what an evaluator does. What the evaluator is really looking for, and to provide you better feedback, the speaker needs to look at, okay, this is the feedback that the evaluator is looking for. Where can I get better? For an advanced club, of course, it's all up to the members. However, if they want to use the tools or not, how good do you want to become? I'm here committed to making you as best as you can, and we all grow together. Thank you, Nzinga. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have something. Why am I putting on my dark glasses?
Oh, just a moment, Bram. Bram, we have the certificates to announce the poll results, remember?
It's okay. We will do that in a second.
Okay.
While I'm here, this is what we do, and then I will be handing it back to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I have a bow tie and a dark jacket and a white shirt and dark glasses is simply, you guessed it, ta-dam. And I please spotlight Baron here for me. Please spotlight Nzinga. Please spotlight Claudette. Did I miss anyone who's here that should be here? Ladies and gentlemen, I present Leaders in Black. And Baron will tell us a bit more because he's the Toastmaster of the day next week. Baron. Oh, yes, Bindu. Welcome. Baron, over to you.
Thank you, Bram. Next week, next Saturday, specifically 28th September, Leadership Speak is going to have a party. And this party is going to be on another planet. It's going to be in the Men in Black planet, right? So we are going to have a meeting that is themed from the Men in Black movie, and we shall be sharing about how we can elevate our speeches, elevate our evaluations, make them world-class, but also reminding you that as leaders, such that we do not forget, right? Listen to this keenly. Such that we do not forget the bigger picture. We are serious about fun. Please join us that day, 28th September, 9:30 a.m. EDT. We shall be here and you will find everybody in an attire like this with a background like this. If you don't have yours yet, please get ready for it. Go shopping if you need to. You need some of this. Over to you, Bram.
Absolutely. And for all the guests who are here or will be coming, we'll be asking them, hey, dress up if you wish to. But we ask the members, especially those who are on the agenda, if they can, as Baron said, go shopping. Well, he was joking. I'm sure you all have some dark glasses. Some are lying around, right? We all have some sunglasses from 20 years back. This one are very old and cheap. I just put them on. So, but if you want to go shopping and splash, well, mind the planet and the carbon footprint as well. We are here to save the world from the villains, and we will take over. As you all know, we will. We will be #1 club top again this year because we are Leaders in Black and we are serious about fun. Thank you, and I will now hand this back over to Nzinga for the awards and closing off and whatever she needs to do. It's all yours, Nzinga, Madam Toastmaster of the day. We can unspotlight the rest of it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bram. Suited back as the Toastmaster of the day, I would like the Zoom Master to launch the poll results, please. Here we are for the best effort evaluation. Please join me congratulating Irene. Irene's congratulations. And for the best effort speaker, Buhari. Well done, Buhari. Congratulations to all the speakers, all the role players for this meeting, for sharing all your thoughts also in the chat and contributing for a reflection on authentic leadership. Without further ado, I adjourn the meeting and wish you enjoy your weekend. Thank you, everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you for stopping the recording.
Thank you.
Thank you.